Hello, welcome to the Transformation Journey Roadmap. I'm your guide and host, Sheila Belanger, and we are going to work with Stage 1, Track Your Inner Figures, Lesson 1, Identify a Key Inner Figure. Now, inner edges are challenging because at these edges, you know that your old life and identities are over, but you do not yet know who you are becoming nor where you're going. It's that very intriguing place of in between. The betwixt and the between space is sometimes called. Not this, not that, somewhere in between. They're challenging and they're incredibly fruitful. The edge, it's the boundary between what you believe about who you are and the unknown parts of yourself. And the Transformation Journey Roadmap is designed to support you to discover hidden parts of you or parts of you that you haven't been connected with strongly for a while. And it's so incredible to get to know yourself more deeply, more intimately, more compassionately, and become even more who you are, your authentic full self. So the Transformation Journey Roadmap, it's a 6-stage journey. It's a guide to navigate the edges of change. We're in stage 1, track your inner figures. And to honor the other 6, the other 5, we'll be working with each one. And there'll be information, guidance, journeys, practices, so you can really explore each stage in your own unique way. Now, I designed this for visionaries, intuitive, sensitive beings. I think that's you. And this is how I think of a visionary. One who has unusual foresight and imagination. And so many of us who have that capacity have had lots of challenges in our enculturated experience because our culture does not support other ways of knowing. And particularly when we're intuitive and empathetic beings, sometimes it's very painful because we feel what's going on with others, with the world, with nature. And so how do we hold deeply our visionary, intuitive, sensitive self and carry it as a gift in a grounded, empowered way so that our unusual foresight and imagination can be available to ourselves, but also as a gift for our world. Now, I designed the roadmap for those ready to commit to effective inner work practices of self healing. That's dealing with the parts of us that are in pain and wounded. How do we bring healing to them? Cultivating your innate wholeness, which you have, the gifts and strengths and capacities to be in your wholeness, cultivate those parts of you. And to apprentice to your visionary and intuitive nature, to lean in, to connect, to get guidance, to develop. That's what this roadmap is about. And I'm trusting you're here because this is what you want to do. So, stage 1, track your inner figures. In this stage, you understand how key inner figures contribute to your habitual limitations. Now, this is your stage when you want to change habitual limiting patterns. You want to track how wounded inner figures control your behavior. You want to stop being held hostage by your wounded inner figures. Oh my goodness. Oof, that's lifetime work. Okay. And you're committed to do transformative inner work practices. So if that feels resonant, stage 1 is here for you. And even if you feel like I've done this already, it's probably supportive to go through some of the stage 1 material and practices. So here for stage 1, lesson 1, here's the learning outcome. So you kind of know what we're up to in this particular part of stage 1. To get an introduction to stage 1, to recognize the limits of your strategic mind, and to understand the roots of what I call your inner protectors. You'll understand that after this particular session. And to complete tracking practice number 1. Just to let you know, as you're journeying with me with the roadmap, I'm going to give you information, teachings, and then I'm going to give you practices so you can really take it in and explore for yourself. So with every single offering, there's going to be at least one practice that you can say, okay, now let me try it myself, Sheila. Okay, that's the way to do it. You're more than you think you are. So much more. You carry many selves within you. There's a whole crew inside each of us. And sometimes they're all talking at the same time, all those many selves. Now, these inner selves are various parts of your personality, and you have whole as well as wounded inner figures. We all do, it's part of the human journey. Dominant wounded inner figures are often habitual and rooted in your adaptive childhood survival strategies. Be a good kid, a good girl, a good boy, all the ways that without blaming anyone, we got enculturated to behave. You had to learn to move away from your innate true nature to survive and fit into cultural and family systems. Doesn't matter our culture, it's there for all of us. You may have experienced that parts of you were not welcome. Nope, not that one. Okay. And that's really painful. Some of your wounded inner figures took on the job to ensure that you fit in so that you would survive and not be exiled. They made it their business to say, whoops, that part of my personality is not welcome at the dinner table. Okay, I'm not going to carry that part of me. All right. They're very much trying to take care that you don't get kicked out. Their limited, fearful mindsets rehearse your adaptive childhood survival strategies. And again, we all have this. This is human journey. So this isn't about what you're doing is wrong. It's natural. It's happened with all of us. We all have our adaptive childhood survival strategies. And you know what? They worked because we're all still here. Now, these wounded inner figures believe that their job is to protect you by keeping you small, safe, and invisible so that you socially belong. They are your limiting protectors. Now, I put protectors through this course in quotation marks to remind you they're not actually true protectors. They think they're taking care of you, but they're really not. They're actually hindering you. But they think what they're doing is right. Now, your limiting protectors usually try to control you with restrictive self talk, punitive inner mantras, and dramatic fear stories. Their main territory of control is in what we call your strategic mind. Now, your strategic mind is a primitive, binary focused part of you that tries to keep you safe from danger. It's constantly assessing your life situations stop, go, yes, no, good, bad, so forth. And I always say the strategic mind is necessary. It's not that we shouldn't have it because we need this part of us to keep us safe. Like, for example, that you don't run a red light if you're driving a car, or that you know when to cross a highway or a street safely. But binary is for computers. And when we're constantly caught in that strategic mind, it's a very superficial, constantly on edge, tension producing part of us. And so it's really just a part of you. So self-reflection and self-tracking are key practices to stop from being held hostage by your limiting protectors and caught constantly in a loop or a rondo with your strategic mind. Self-reflection and self-tracking are really important. So here is tracking practice number one. And it's very simple. It's warming you up and you'll all be able to do it just fine. Identify a primary limiting protector with whom you struggle. This could be the inner critic, a fearful one, a victim, an escapist. So just pause and breathe. Maybe touch your heart if that feels comfortable. Even close your eyes because you might have a whole bunch of them, but just take a breath, big breath in. And then as you exhale, just gently notice who is the dominant one that you just go, yep, that's the one, Sheila. Primary protector trying to keep you safe and small. And you might note that in your journal or just note in your heart, yeah, that's one that's kind of primary. And again, we can have many, believe me. And in this journey with the roadmap, there'll be several times when you can look at protectors and bring some resources to them. So bravo, you have just completed your first tracking practice. Way to go. So here's what happened. In stage one, lesson one, you've completed these learning outcomes. You got an introduction to stage one. You recognize the limits of your strategic mind, I hope. You understood the roots of what we call an inner protector. and you completed tracking practice number 1. So now in lesson 2, you'll learn how to track a primary protector. So when you're ready, you can go right on to lesson 2.